All right, enough Copa del Rey. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go,
Gabriele
guys.
Jota scores the only goal as Liverpool down Everton 1-0 in the Merseyside derby, but your pal David Moyes is unhappy, Jules.
Yeah, he's unhappy with the goal. I can understand his frustration, to be fair, because the ball is played towards Luis Diaz, who is clearly offside. And I know Luis Diaz doesn't try to play the ball, but Tarkowski doesn't try to clear the ball the way he does if Luis Diaz is not there. And if Luis Diaz is not... if the ball is not aiming at Luis Diaz. So it's a bit of a grey area. We had that a few years ago in the Nations League where Mbappe scored against Spain in a very similar way where the defender tried to play for the ball because Mbappe is there, but Mbappe is offside, but he still tried to go for it. So I don't know. I understand the rule. So the referee went by the rule, and that's fine. I can also understand why Everton are really not happy because it's if Luis Diaz is not there, they don't concede that goal, and the ball is for him. So
I think the laws of the game are exceptionally clear here, and that this is the whole point with people in an offside position. As a defender, you're supposed to know where the guy is. He's like a yard behind you. He's obviously offside. And also maybe when you go and try to clear the ball, just do it competently and don't, go in this uncoordinated lumbering mess.
yeah,
A bit like his tackle early in the game when he should have been sent off.
Sent off every day. Yeah, Liverpool's magic number is now 13. Any combination of 13 points gained by Liverpool or lost by Arsenal with 8 games to go now in the league would guarantee them the title. When do you think it will happen?
So, looking at their upcoming fixtures, this stage of the season, you want to play teams that are quote unquote on the beach with nothing to play for, or already relegated, or have bigger fish to fry. I'm looking at Fulham away, West Ham at home, Leicester away. Those are their next 3 games.
Yeah.
I see no reason why they couldn't get all 9. Maybe Fulham, they drop a point, but equally Arsenal have those 2 huge Real Madrid games, and they have Brentford, who's a colossal pain in the backside, sandwiched in between. Nothing. I say this in a good way, Brentford fans, by the way. You're a pain to play against. I think especially for a team like Arsenal. So my guess is it's going to happen anyway. I hope it happens at home at Anfield against Tottenham Hotspur. Last time they won the title, of course, there were no fans, and it would be quite the celebration. Otherwise, it'll be away at Chelsea on May 4th, slightly more muted. Holders Bayer Leverkusen are out, OUT out of the German Cup in an upset for the ages as they fall 2-1 to 3rd Division Arminia Bielefeld. Jules, magic to Pokal.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. This is the 4th Bundesliga team, that Bielefeld knock out. The captain is half French, half American, Maël Corbeaux, and was amazing in this game, like his whole team, really. There is that, I'm not really sure exactly what Xabi Alonso tried to do again in his the way he set up his team. But Bielefeld took the game, played with so much intensity. They were great to watch. It was really, really fun. The stadium was packed. The atmosphere was amazing. It's great. So well done to them. And 3rd division in your domestic cup final. It's incredible.
Yeah, and this is not one of those games where it was a smash and grab. Arminia Bielefeld, really the numbers, the highlights, you can watch them and you can see that they outplayed them. And I'm sorry, this is on Xabi Alonso. You said you're not sure. I think he went and he pooed his pants again and just let me go and play with three center backs and essentially 3 holding midfielders because you've got Andrich and Xhaka and Alex Garcia, those types. Jonathan Tah not helping things either. And then you keep Victor Boniface on the bench. What gives? Well, why are you doing this?
Manchester City beat Leicester 2-0 as Jack Grealish scores his first league start of 2025. But Gab, we know now that Erling Haaland is likely to miss the whole rest of the season.
Yeah, and frankly, that's, I think, the much bigger story here because Leicester are really, really terrible.
I think Van Nistelrooy is the worst manager in Premier League history. It has to be, Gab. It has to be.
Premier League history? The guy who was at Crystal Palace? Frank de Boer?
But Frank had 7 games, 7 defeats. I think Van Nistelrooy now has won 1 and has like 11 defeats in something like in the last 12. It's ridiculous. How bad?
For me, obviously, I was curious to see how Marmoush would play. It was funny because it's like, it was watching some of the highlights on English TV. It's like, oh, look, Marmoush runs around and he brings energy. As if Erling Haaland doesn't, but obviously Erling Haaland's much different. Marmoush's movement is very different. I think if you go Savinho, Marmoush, Doku, you have a high energy team that's going to be more intense. So I think they'll be fine the rest of the season. They lose a little bit, I think, in quality. But hey, Bernardo Silva, slowest top speed in the Premier League, officially. So, hey, trade-off. We're not done, Jules. We have more quick hits.
Yes, God.
It's going to be a Clásico Copa del Rey final. As we told you, Ferran Torres starts ahead of Robert Lewandowski and scores the only goal as Barcelona win 1-0 at the Metropolitano.
Yeah, this was a good game, even if it's just a 1-0 scoreline. Really, Barca were very good for an hour. Lamine Yamal again with some moment of absolute genius class. And then Atletico put a bit of fight in it. They scored 2 goals that were disallowed for tiny offsides. It was a bit better for them, but then you also felt there was just not enough cutting edge, even with Alvarez and Solos then coming on and Griezmann. And they tried, they pushed. It was not enough in the end. And I think the Clásico Copa del Rey final is pretty much the dream scenario.
Yeah, I want to go deeper on this at some point, but and this is an idea I'm stealing from Sid Lowe on his podcast. He made the point that when you compare this Barcelona side, who has scored more than the great Messi, Guardiola sides,
more than anyone in Europe.
What's remarkable is that most of these guys are either at the end of their career or at the start of their career. Mostly, if you go through the best players. I asked myself, like, who is really at the peak of his powers age-wise? And it's Marc-Andre Ter Stegen, who's been injured all season. It's Rafinha, who comes from Leeds. The rest, you've got Yamal, who's going to get better, presumably, and Lewandowski, who should have been done years ago, or Inigo Martinez, who's 34, or, so player for player, they may not be great, but as a collective, they may not be great. They may not be as great as the people, as the Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta midfield, but collectively, they're right up there. Oh, and shout out to Pedro. You could argue he's entering the prime of his career.
Yeah. Off the pitch, though, there are more issues for them, Gab.
Yeah, so remember how they were only able to register Dani Olmo and Pau Victor? Sorry, I just had the name check Pau Victor, technically. Not that he's moved the needle in any way. Because they're only able to do this because they sold $100 million worth of VIP box seats in advance.
From the new stadium, yeah. I mean,
in the new stadium, yeah. And they got an auditor to certify this, and it was an auditor who apparently, according to reports, according to La Liga, who are contesting this, was only hired for 4 days, and they're not actually accounted for in the club accounts. This would be really bad, and this would essentially be false accounting, and they're in trouble. I'm sure they're going to appeal. Laporta was unhappy that this news came out on the morning that they were playing Atletico Madrid, whatever. The reality is, don't put yourself in this situation, and you don't have to worry when the bad news comes out. I hope they did everything by the book. The last thing they need is more clever accounting. And again, I go back to Laporta. Dude, you hire lawyers and accounting experts, and they say, yeah, boss, we can fix this. You have to make sure you hire the right people and make sure they can fix it in a way that won't get you in trouble. Anthony Elanga scores a doozy as Manchester United record their 13th league defeat of the season at Nottingham Forest. So they have Man City next. I guess it's not surprising that the team in 13th place should lose to the team in 3rd place, Jules.
No, you're right. And to be fair, I thought at times United moved the ball well. We're okay with the ball. It's just that you thought they were ready for the counter-attacking strength that Forest have. And yet, what did they do? 5 minutes in or 10 minutes in, whatever. Anthony Elanga scores after running on his own for 85 meters in 9 seconds to score this goal that, as a manager, you must absolutely hate conceding, obviously. After that, I mean, I think the best player going forward was Harry Maguire, who came on with 5 minutes to go, and I had a higher XG than Højlund and Zerbi put together when they played for the rest of the game. So I don't know what to say. I think structurally it was a bit better from United, really, and we've seen an improvement recently, not just in this game. But again, it was not good enough.
Not good enough, although I think, I agree with you. United, I thought, played okay. There is progress there.
Yeah. Milan and Inter battled to a 1-1 derby draw in the Coppa Italia first leg, semi-final. Gab, all to play for then?
Yeah. I think, look, Sergio Conceição, it's like he can't win. He made some choices. Pulisic at 10, which Pulisic is, I don't think he's fully fit. He's not going through a good period. He had a rough game. Tammy Abraham, on the other hand, is getting it done. Inter, a bunch of players out, rotating. We know it's the Inzaghi thing. I don't need to see Joaquin Correa start, but unfortunately he's inflicted on me again. And yeah, it's all to play for. I mean, we always knew this was going to be kind of like
Yeah.
a first half result, and especially with these two teams. And that's exactly what it is. And Davide Fratesi, by the way, he does not want to watch this game back at all.
But
He
Mac
needs-
Maignan might, because it's probably his best game in a long time for Milan.
Good news and bad news for Arsenal in their 2-1 win over Fulham. Bukayo Saka back and scoring off the
Yeah.
bench. But Gabriele is now hurt at the back, which, according to early reports, and we won't know until the club releases a statement, which probably won't be until his press conference the day before the game, it looks like there's a whole lot of Kivior coming up.
Yeah, not good from Gabriel after just 15 minutes holding his hamstring. I think we all know what that is really, and you see his face. Not there, Calafiori's injured too. So,
Timber's just back.
and sorry.
Timber just came back.
Yeah, and got injured too in that game. Had to come off before the end. I think Timber is less serious maybe than Gabriel, but for Gabriel it's terrible news, especially a week before the Real Madrid game. So yeah, got news. The good news is that Bukayo Saka obviously came back, scored 7 minutes after coming on. He will have a bit more game time at the weekend on Saturday at Everton, and then they're hoping can start against Real Madrid on Tuesday. So some good and some not so good for Arsenal on Tuesday night. Stuttgart will face Arminia Bielefeld in the German Cup final, Gab, after beating Leipzig and the new boss, Lot Love, 3-1.
Yeah, so first of all, Jolt Löw, I really like you a lot more than Marco Rose. He's animated on the sidelines. His team played better. This is a game where, dare I say it, we've seen Leipzig, especially I think what kept Rose alive for so long is that they got results while playing horrendously. Here, they arguably, for long stretches, played better, maybe created more chances than Stuttgart. But come on, it's Stuttgart. What a great story. They lose their best players. They have Hoeneß. And they have a guy who I think is pretty much unlike any other player playing right now. Nick Voldemort, who, if you haven't seen this, just watch these highlights. You see this guy who's like, I don't know, he looks like he's 7 feet tall.
He's 2
not
meters.
really.
I don't know how many. No,
Is he really 2 meters?
198, I think he is.
Okay. And he's like lanky. He's all like arms and legs. He's supposed to be totally uncoordinated. He has a ridiculous touch. He can play central. He can play wide. I don't know where they've been hiding him. In a sense, he's already 23 years old.
Yeah.
He
was on
obviously
loan, I
made a
think.
bunch of progress this year, but he is so fun to watch. Must be so awkward. He played just behind Demirovic, the striker in this game. You can use him in different ways.
He scored a hat-trick against Spain under 21 with Germany under 21. One of the 3 goals is just, for somebody that his size, is amazing.
Okay, so now you're probably wondering, oh, how do you spell that guy Gab just mentioned? Voltemade, Woltemade. Hit pause, go check out his hat-trick in Spain, and then come back to us.
Check out Stiller's goal as well in this game, because it was lovely.
Paris Saint-Germain also get to play in a cup final. Jules beating second division Dunkirk away 4-2. They had to come from behind, but they fall asleep.
They fell asleep again, a bit like against Saint-Etienne in the league on Saturday. 2 goals on set pieces, well, 1 on set pieces, 1 on a long ball. Marquinhos losing another duel in the air, and they 2 goals down, and they think, okay, maybe this is the story. Dunkirk have been great. We've said it, Dembaba is the sporting director. Luis Castro, the other Luis Castro, the former Benfica youth team coach, is their first team coach. They've got this very rich Turkish owner who also owns Samsunspor. And they're doing well. And then Dembele scored just before the break. And then second half is all PSG, really. There's a bit of controversy over the second goal, but PSG were much better.
By the way, Dembele absolutely leathers the ball.
That's a great
How
goal
hard
as
did
well.
he hit it? They needed a radar gun.
Yeah, amazing. 2 more goals and an assist for Dembele.
And Desiree Doué, sorry. I know you want to be Neymar. Copy the good things of Neymar, not the bad things. If you score a deflected goal against a team from the second division, you don't need to give it the large. Give it the big one with the celebration.
No, I know. 21st final for PSG in the cup. Sandro Tonali scores with his 70% cross. I think it's even more than that. And Newcastle beat Brentford 2-1 to stay in the Champions League race. But Gab, were Brentford a bit unlucky?
They were hugely unlucky. First off, on the goal, he said it was 70% cross, 30% shot. He somehow, it's like if you're a baseball fan, it was like a knuckleball, which he hit, but he hit it hard. I think the keeper should have done better. All sorts of explanations about blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he's trying to cross it, mishits it, goes into the net. Great goal. Yeah, Brentford hugely unlucky. Bruno Guimaraes on Damsgaard. I watched the highlights. I'll let you choose which was more of a 1,000% nailed on penalty. For me, they both were. You could maybe make a case. Thomas Franks at the second one. Oh, but he got the ball first. On the first one, Bruno goes up to Damsgaard. He's got his back for him. Damsgaard's in the area. He puts both hands on his back and pushes him.
Yeah.
The fact that Damsgaard goes down easy, doesn't make a difference. There is no context in football where you are allowed to put both hands on somebody's back and push him over. Aston Villa trounced Brighton 3-0 in one of those Champions League race 6-pointers. Unai Emery's low knees do it again.
Yeah, I mean, first Marcus Rashford, who scores a bit of a weird goal, I thought, because it's a corner for Brighton that Emi Martinez catches easily. And then I think Rashford makes his run to think that Martinez is going to kick it long to him. Doesn't see that the ball goes to Rodgers. Rodgers kick it long when I think Rashford thinks that he's run for nothing because it's over. But then the ball falls to him nicely. Then he gets a bit lucky in his finishing too. But hey, they all count. On great form, Rashford, 3 goals in his last 2 games. Obviously, if you count the FA Cup, and then Malen scores, and then Asensio, both off the bench, also score. In a game where Brighton had the chances, and to be fair, 3-0 doesn't really reflect the way the game went, but it's a really good, really good win for Villa. We then face Forest on Saturday now.
Yeah, Malen's goal deep in injury time, but and you could say 2-0 could have still been in the balance, but Brighton looks so uneven and defensively, like pretty horrific.
I don't know what Baleba doesn't start. Yeah. Chelsea host Spurs on Thursday night. So tonight, as we record the show, and Gab, they recorded a profit of nearly £200 million in their account earlier this week. That comes with an asterisk, though.
Yeah, it does, because they got 150 million for the women's team, which they sold to themselves. Now, or effectively sold to Blueco, which is the company that owns Chelsea. Now, this is the same stuff that they did with the hotels last year. The Premier League, according to reporting in the Times, has yet to approve this. UEFA have said, and they will be evaluated because they're back in Europe in the Conference League. UEFA said they're going to approve neither the hotel deal nor this deal. I know when we talk about valuations, different people use different formulas, revenue to earnings multiples, and the brand and all this nonsense. The reality is this is a perpetually loss-making endeavor, as it is now. This is so out of whack with any other European team. And before somebody comes out and says, oh, Angel City, Bob Iger, $250 million. Bob Iger, who ultimately is our boss, of course, the big boss of Disney. Yeah, that's a different sport in a different economy. It's not the same sport, I guess, but different economy, closed system, different valuations. It's a completely different animal, and it should not be used in any way to decide what the value is of Chelsea. Now, they're no doubt get a bunch of other assessors who will bring up Angel City and they'll try to convince the Premier League that this is fair market value. I think the highest price paid for a women's club thus far to actually a real outside investor was when Michel Kang bought Lyon.
Yeah.
And I think that was 67 million, something like that.
Yeah, a bit less even, I think. Yeah,
or maybe even less. And by the way, we say outside investors. Michel Kang is also an investor in Eagle with our pal John Texter. So it's not really totally arm's length either.
No.
So I don't know.
And Lyon, you can argue, is a bigger women's club than Chelsea women is.
I think Lyon have won the Women's Champions League more times than anybody else. Yeah. And again, you can argue England, whatever, bigger in some ways than France in women's football. But is it really? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
150 is a lot of money.
Yeah, and you're selling it to yourself.
Yeah,
so also the accounts also revealed that they paid £10 million in compensation to Leicester City for Enzo Maresca, which I was really surprised when they gave Maresca and I'm a Maresca guy, as you know, but I was really surprised when they gave him the really long contract. I thought it was completely unnecessary. I don't think he's paid anywhere near as much as Pochettino was. But to pay compensation for Maresca, who at that stage had coached 1 full season
at Leicester,
at Leicester and a couple months at Parma. Like I said, you must really, really like the guy. Yeah. Premier League semi-automated VAR system debuts on April 12th after many, many, many delays. Jules, are you excited the Premier League is coming to circa 2024?
Yeah. I mean, for such a small league as the Premier League, it's okay to wait so long to get semi-automatic offside, which was supposed to be ready in October or maybe in November, or maybe in December. Maybe then it was January or February or March, April. Hey, finally it will be April. So we will have a month of it. And I guarantee you probably that in that month, we will hardly see any incidents where you need the semi-automatic offside. But I think it's better to have it than not.
No question. It's got a much cooler name. But of course, part of the reason is they couldn't just use the same one that UEFA used. They had to put out bids and get a different technology, which I think is actually good. Maybe this technology will be better than UEFA's. Maybe this will become the gold standard. It certainly has a much cooler name. It's called Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon.
And it uses force fields and
Whatever that
wizards
is. Yeah.
and elves. But if you remember, there was, I forget what the FA Cup or League Cup, whatever nonsense cup it was. There was an 8-minute delay to establish an offside earlier this year when it was tested in that game. And that was because the system doesn't do very well when there's a lot of bodies in the way.
Yeah.
But that was their explanation.
Yeah, I think we could have fun with this.
Hopefully they've sorted that out.
Yeah. Tis Dalinga, Liga and Toulouse legend, of course. Backs 2 goals at Bologna, roll past Empoli away 3-0 in the cup in the Coppa Italia semi-final first leg. The season is going under the radar, Gab.
Yeah, which is pretty remarkable because, you compare them to last season and they finished in the Champions League places. They lose their coach. They lose Joshua Zirkzee, arguably their best player. I'm blanking on who else they lost. But
Calafiori?
Obviously they lost Calafiori to Arsenal, arguably their best defender. Lewis Ferguson coming back after a really, really serious injury. And they're doing even better this year.
Yeah.
And they're in, they got 1 foot in the Coppa Italia final. It's a tremendous story. And they did it without the Punisher, Santiago Castro, who I think is possibly their single biggest prospect. So, Dalinga, the joke on Dalinga was that he never scores. Well, he had 2 now.
Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain will face Stade Reims in the French Cup final after they won 2-1 at Caen. Jules, they're fighting to avoid relegation from the top flight, and they haven't actually beaten any top flight side in this cup run. I mean, they had to get, I guess, biggest scalp was Monaco, and they took them to penalties.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you feel pretty confident.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's a final at the Stade de France. PSG might still be in the Champions League at that point and have other things on their mind. I don't know. But yeah, first final in 48 years for Reims, who obviously were one of the biggest clubs in France back in the day.
They were in the European Cup final.
Yeah, twice, even in the 60s, 50s and 60s. Their coach, who's the interim coach because they sacked Diawara, said at the end, I don't want to spoil the party, but this is great. Okay, good. It's a final. I hope this brings us momentum. But we're fighting for our life in the league. And I think as big as they are, or as big as they have been, if they go down to Ligue 2, it's easily the kind of club that you think could struggle to go back up. So huge end of the season for them before even thinking about the French Cup final. FIFA are looking to stage a one-game playoff between LAFC and Club America for the final Club World Cup spot. The one, that was vacated when Leon were kicked out because they could not be in the same competition as Pachuca. Gab, are you okay with this? This like playoff final kind of thing?
Kind of. I mean, look, obviously they're going to replace Leon. I still don't understand why the team from Costa Rica, Alajuelense, but it sounds like they're slightly making these things up as you go along.
Right, okay.
I think there's going to be more legal. Look, we already know there's a legal challenge from Leon. I think Alajuelense have their own legal challenge in the works. This is their idea. I mean, at some point, I think these legal challenges will probably run out of time. And you look at this and the arguments, I mean, you can pick based on different things. Like they decided, for the U.S. representative, we'll choose a team that's won the most points in the regular season.
Yeah.
So, hey, look, casually you have Inter Miami. Look, casually here you have Club America, arguably the best supported club in all of Mexico among those who are not already qualified, probably overall. And then you have, LAFC, from LA.
Yeah. Superstar owners and players.
Yeah, the argument is Club America were the highest ranked team in Mexico, and I guess they're replacing a Mexican team, but shouldn't this be overall? Not the Alajuelense argument. Yeah. And LAFC lost to Leon, which is how Leon qualified, so maybe it should be, I don't know. I think there's going to be more twists and turns here. Roberto De Zerbi is reportedly the hot favorite to take over at Milan, Jules.
Yeah,
good choice based on what we're seeing in Marseille. Are they going to be sad to see him go?
I think they're more surprised now because when he came in the summer, he said, I'm here for, it's a 3-year project. I want to stay. I want to do this. So now they feel like if he was to leave, it'd be a massive, massive lie. You don't have to come to a new club and say, I'm here for the long time. Just say I'm going to do the best job possible this season. It's fine. If Milan want you and you want to go to Milan because you're the Zerbi, fine. I've got no issue with it. But don't come up with those big words of I'm here for the long term. We're going to win together. All that BS that he said. Is he doing a good job? He's doing a okay job, I think, with the squad that he has and the players that he has. They were second for a long time. Now they're third because they lost again, 4 defeats in the last 5. But it's the Zerbi, and we know he's good. It's just not. It's not because he lost a few games that he's not good anymore suddenly. So it'd be great. I think at times you know him better than I do, but he can have a bit. He can be difficult to work with. He can have issues with people above him. Yeah, sure. But I think it'd be a shame for Ligue 1 and Marseille to lose him.
I look at this and I think on paper they have the second best squad in Ligue 1 and they have no European football. Yeah. Unlike Monaco, who, of course, I just passed them in the second place. Look, they'll probably finish second, but they're freaking 21 points behind.
True.
They should be doing better,
yeah.
as I see it. I'm not even a secret. I think that Zerbi... I don't think this is Milan putting this out there. Right. I think this is the Zerbi's people. And I think it has to do with the fact that the Zerbi... Milan looked at the Zerbi before when they hired Paulo Fonseca.
Yeah.
You know, when the Zerbi was still at Brighton, I think the Zerbi would be a really good fit in many ways in terms of type of football he plays at Milan. But equally, I don't think Milan are going to choose a coach until they choose a director of football.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of impetus behind Fabio Paratici, of course, formerly at Tottenham, formerly banned as well, then unbanned, and then partially banned. But... yeah, I think people are getting a little bit ahead of themselves. He should be in it.
Yeah,
but I agree with you. When you go to a club, it doesn't mean you necessarily say, I'm going to start a cycle, I'm going to be here for 10 years. No, just say, I'm going to do the best I can.
Yeah,
Thank you for the 3-year contract, and let's see where we go.
Yeah. Manchester City's club accounts revealed just how much they spend on lawyers this season. I'm sure you enjoy seeing this number, Gab.
£30,596,000 on this vermin. These leeches. I think everybody can agree that the number spent on lawyers should be close to 0. I don't think City fans are happy with this, and they might say, well, we had to do it to defend ourselves from the cartel and this and that. I think other people would say, oh, you do it because this is your only hope of saving your backsides? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Clearly, there's something wrong when lawyers have so much power in the game. And by the way, the amount of money the Premier League spent on lawyers, maybe it's not going to be as high, but it's not going to be far off this. And this is all mostly because of this case. And I think this just speaks to a broken system where you have to have trust in the system. You have adjudicatory processes that everybody trusts. So you don't have to go to these people, especially when you've got people at the same law firm on both sides. Yeah. I don't know. To me, this is just grotesque. Bournemouth have reportedly named their price for fullback Milos Kerkez, and it's £45 million. This sounds like a bargain to me.
Yeah, I mean, bargain. I'm not sure if it's still a lot of money for a left back, but if you remember, for example, the likes of Malo Gusto, even Mendy before, it was around the £50 million mark for really good fullback. At the time. I mean, even the Julien Timber, okay, it's not the same price because he came straight from the Netherlands, not through another English club. So you're paying that too. Buying from an English club is always more expensive than buying for a non-English club. Mm. I think he's a wonderful talent. I think for me, he's been the best left back in the country with Anthony Robinson at Fulham, probably even better in terms of consistency all along.
And technical ability.
Yeah, and younger. Yeah. And everything. So Kerkez, whether it's United, well, I don't think he'll be United, but Liverpool or somebody else, I think it makes a lot of sense. And 45 million, you're right. You invest it and you're better for it.
I'm curious about where this comes from. This because the way everybody reported this is, this is what Bournemouth want for Milos Kerkez. I don't think this is. I think they would want more.
Yeah,
right? Because
true.
if you say I want 45 million, you negotiate, you get the player to agree to deal with you, and then you negotiate the price down.
Yeah.
And at the same time, in the same week that we're hearing City are spending 50 million or ready to spend 50 million on that guy Larson from Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Surely a guy who's already proven in the Premier League and who I think is a better player at a different position.
Yeah, different
than
position,
Larson, who can contribute straight away, is going to be worth more than that. I think these valuations are all over the place, and I think it's going to be really curious to see what happens this summer with these numbers.
Arsenal are linked with Athletic Club de Bilbao's Nico Williams, with reports suggesting that the new sporting director, Andrea Berta, has already made contact with his representative. Is that what Mikel Arteta means when he said it's going to be a big summer for Arsenal?
I don't think so. I think he means something else, because we know Arsenal have already spent or are ready to spend a lot of money on Zubimendi.
Yeah.
Nico Williams, he has a release clause. I think it's around 60 million euros.
Yeah, 50.
Now, it was made such a big deal. It was really funny to me when he resigned. He said, like, his people came out. People were like, "Oh, he's staying at the club he loves. He's Bilbao through and through." Yeah, but he made sure they put a release clause so he can GTFO. So if I'm his people, then this is exactly what I want to do. It's almost, I know that I can then negotiate an enormous wage. This is something where you can't look at this without the wage. There were already reports that the reason he didn't move to Barcelona last summer was because he was expecting, his agent basically went to Barcelona and said, "Look, you're only spending 60 million on him. He's worth 100 million. Let's look at his contract."
Yeah, make the difference up.
I think the kind of monies that were floated last season, I think for Arsenal, he would come in and he would be among the top 3 or 4 paid players. I don't think he's in a position where you can say, if I'm Arsenal, this guy belongs with Bukayo Saka, with Declan Rice, with, whoever, Saliba, whoever you want. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
So, and then that's on the financial side. On the playing side, is he better than Martinelli? Sure. And Martinelli has not had a great 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
But surely there's other areas that you would want to address, right? I don't think all of a sudden this becomes this massive priority for Arsenal. So I suspect this might have been a courtesy visit.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm Nico Williams' people, I want to get the word out. Hey, look, Arsenal are looking at me.
Yeah.
Might you be interested too? We miraculously know nobody's interested in bidding for the 2031 World Cup except for the United States, and nobody wants the Women's World Cup, and nobody wants the 2035 Women's World Cup other than the United Kingdom. It's okay. So that's all set then, yeah?
Yeah, that's also. I mean, I still think they would have to vote at some point, Gabi.
There will have to be a vote. There's only one bidder.
There's only one bidder. You
can vote by acclamation. Yay!
Infantino said they're the only valid bid. So valid. Anyway, but the US...
They have a bunch of criteria that need to be fulfilled.
They
get evaluated. And if the people say, all right, sorry, Comoros Islands, you cannot host the Women's World Cup because you don't have enough big stadiums.
Yeah.
Boom,
Exactly. I mean, it's exciting for the US, of course, because they will have the 2026 Men's World Cup, and then 5 years later, the Women's one, which obviously is great.
The Club World Cup in 2025.
And the Club World Cup, of course. And then in 2025 and 2029, I guess, right? Every 4 years, the Club World Cup. So this is exciting. The UK will have the Men's Euros, of course, and the Women's World Cup too. So pretty much back to back. So this is very exciting as well. You take that. The problem is, and I think we've said that before, they have more and more problems, Gab, in the next few years to have even somebody who wants to organize those big events that take a lot, bring you money for sure, but you have to spend a lot on them too.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously places where the infrastructure is already there, like the United Kingdom and the US, are going to be favored.
You can't always go to the same countries either. It's unfair.
No, and that's why we've said, you and I think we both agree on this, that we like it when you've got multi-nation bids, because some of the smaller nations can get hopefully involved. We can make this more sustainable. I just think the optics, just from a FIFA perspective, when you go back, I'm just going to deal with the Men's World Cup for a minute, right? 2034, uncontested. 2030, uncontested. 2026, uncontested. 2022, we know how very contested,
but not so contested.
Yeah, 2018, same deal.
Yeah,
this is not, and I think on the women's side, I think I'm right in saying 2027 was sort of contested. This is not. It's not good for your image as FIFA. Maybe I'm the only one who cares about it because it seems to me that 99% of people have decided everything FIFA does is bad and dubious and whatever. But this only fuels the fire, And again, maybe he'll come out, and I think probably what happened here, and I'm purely speculating, so shoot me, or sue me if I get this wrong. I think the United Kingdom and the United States, obviously they're both very lucrative places to have it. They said, all right, we'll take 2035, you take 2031, rather than us bidding against each other, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And then maybe somebody else who thought of bidding, maybe UEFA said, oh, look, under 20 World Cup here, women's U17 there. If it saves money, and we saw what happened when they threw it open, everybody bidding. What happened?
Yeah.
We had a lot of allegations of corruptions. We had a major investigation from FIFA. We had DOJ getting involved, and there's people who ended up in prison. However, this isn't great either, as I see it.
St. Pauli fans have raised 27 million euros to take over a majority stake in the club's Milento Stadium. I'm not sure if I'm saying that. Gab, what does this mean?
So, in some ways, it means a lot. In other ways, it really doesn't mean that much. St. Pauli, this stadium where St. Pauli plays, St. Pauli are a members club anyway, and I think they will always be a members club.
Yeah.
There's no wealthy billionaire who's going to come and buy St. Pauli for obvious reasons. But I think it gives the club more control. They're minority owners in the company that owns the stadium, essentially, right? They raised £27 million to do it. It's so weird. Uli Hoeneß.
Is he a St. Pauli fan? I mean, I thought he was just a Bayern legend, but maybe not.
I think this stems back to years ago. Uli Hoeneß, I think he arranged for them some financing when they were close to going bankrupt. Uli Hoeneß, I don't think is from there. I mean, I believe he's very Bavarian. But there's these pictures of him at a St. Pauli game a few years ago where he's walking around, where he's wearing, I think, one of the ugliest T-shirts I've ever seen.
Really?
It's a St. Pauli T-shirt, which, to celebrate St. Pauli, which somebody gave him, and he put it on over his button down. It's brown. Brown T-shirts generally are really difficult to pull off. But he apparently is one of these investors. Hey, it's great. I'm all for more fan ownership. In some ways, it's a little bit like what exists at Chelsea with Chelsea pitch owners, except they control this even more. They're not in it to make money. They're in it to serve their community and have fun doing it. And kind of wish there was a bit more of that, actually, along with better governance in football. Lionel Messi's bodyguard is unhappy.
Yeah, that's right, Gab. Yasin Choko, you probably have seen him on some clips on social media because he is the one that anytime somebody tries to jump onto the pitch to go and take a selfie with Messi, he's the one like rugby tackling the guy before he gets to Messi. They've been working together for a long time, and now he's been banned from attending MLS games. He's also preparing for a boxing fight with one of the
people who runs onto the pitch.
Yeah, yeah, probably as well. And he looks strong, to be fair. But yeah, we won't see him trying to rugby tackle people.
I don't think he's been banned. I think he's been banned from going onto the pitch with Lionel Messi.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I think he's still allowed to be at games. He made the point that for some reason he worked with him for 8 years in France and whatever, and he says it only happened 8 times. In those 8 years, something like that, and it's happened 16 times or more than that.
14 times, yeah, or something, yeah.
Am I, dude? Like, what you think you are going to stop it? I mean, there's a provision there. There's a security. Just live with it. But hey, I like the fact that he's drawing more publicity to himself,
of course, exactly.
You know, find out about his upcoming boxing match.
Gab, your boy Victor Osimhen scores twice as Galatasaray beat Fenerbahce 2-1 to advance to the semi-final of the Turkish Cup, where they will face Konyaspor. But obviously, this was all overshadowed by Jose Mourinho and Okan Buruk at the final whistle.
Yeah, and immediately my mind went back to him and the late, great Tito Villanova, poking him in the eye after the Classico, 11, 12 years ago. With Borat, by the way, looking on behind them. That picture seared into my brain about that guy who looks just like Borat, like totally expressionless while this goes on. It looked like Borat, Okan Buruk was walking, and he obviously said something. It was obviously words exchange.
Yeah.
Mourinho kind of sneakily comes up behind him, sort of prances into the picture, and it looks like he's grabbing his nose.
Yeah, or pinching his nose.
Buruk collapses. Like
if he'd been shot.
Yeah. Now, look, Okan Buruk, everybody can see what's happening. What are you trying to do? You stopped playing a long time ago. How about, I mean, look, this is all on Mourinho. He's likely to face a long ban. You don't put your hands in somebody else's face. He's going to get a long ban, a long fine, and I'm happy to throw Mourinho under the bus. I've done it many times. I think many times he does very stupid things. I think Buruk's behavior is frankly absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah.
Just be a man, seriously, honestly. You don't need to do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, you want to get Mourinho in trouble as well. He's already put himself in enough trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
From his perspective, I don't know what snaps in his head. I think he needs a little bit of help because he's paid to do a job, and he cannot do his job if he's constantly suspended and creating controversy and whatever else. This just kind of played to a whole bunch of the worst sort of stereotypes. Also, there's a stat out there which Mourinho haters. I can't believe I'm sticking up for Mourinho this much on the show, but I think it's fair. Mourinho haters point out that I think he's only won one trophy since Rui Faria left him. Rui Faria, by the way, not his longtime partner, but his longtime assistant. Yes, he's also managed worse teams since then. Let's be fair about that. Yeah. And if he were here, he would say he was denied the chance to win one of those when he was let go by Spurs.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. So and replaced by, was it Ryan freaking Mason replaced him?
Just
like Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
Jules, this brings us to an end, but we're going to come back on Monday. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.